Good morning. Welcome back. You're still watching The Break on this 4th day of July 2023. And I want to introduce in studio, I have the President of the Law Society of Kenya, that is Eric Dauri. Good morning, Mr. President.
Morning.
I have Beatrice Elachi, Member of Parliament for Dagoretti North. Good morning, Mheshimiwa.
Good morning, sir.
And I have Wilson Sosion, a former nominated Member of Parliament. Good morning.
Good morning, and former Secretary General. I think that is that's the work I did most.
What should I say about your CAS appointment? Is it former? Where are we now?
Of course, that matter theory will advise you. It's within the corridors of the judiciary.
Okay, all right. And of course, we're here to talk about the latest in the public discourse. We're still expecting the Member of Parliament for Molo constituency, that is Kuria Kimani. If he's able to join us, we'll be sure to bring him on board. But in the meantime, we continue with the show. And of course, the biggest story that you also see on the two dailies is the why court threw out Ruto's 50 CASs, that is on the Daily Nation. And on the Standard, CAS judges deal Ruto body blow, rather. And they're saying that President Ruto is between a rock and a hard place on what he will use to reward his cronies after the courts found the Chief Administrative Secretary position unconstitutional. Let me begin with you, Honorable Sosion, because you had been sworn in. I think it was on the 23rd of March 2023 to start off your duty as CAS in the Ministry of Tourism and Wildlife. How have you received this decision by the courts yourself?
It's not a question of how have I received, but I think this is a matter that we expected outcome either way. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that's been active at the judiciary. And of course, after we are sworn in, mm-hmm. and the court ordered and barred us from attending offices, we've not been attending. And alive to the fact that judgments can go either way. So mm-hmm. really, the ruling that has been rendered right. doesn't surprise us. Mm. And for sure, if you look at facts, what transpired mm-hmm. within the High Court, mm-hmm. one judge dissented, meaning still there was a division in opinion. And what is important is the ultimate conclusion of this matter mm-hmm. before Kenyans, because we are dealing with a matter that has existed for the last 5 years. The Jubilee administration between 2018 and 2022 ran the full offices of Chief Administrative Secretaries, and we are lucky we have one here, my sister Elachi, and she served a full term. And there was already a judgment by Mrima to regularize through the Public Service Commission so that they become, they meet the threshold of the law and the Constitution. Mm-hmm. And what the head of the public service did through the complement was to regularize. Mm-hmm. And my brother Theuri here, who is the custodian of the law and the president of the Law Society, contested the process at the Employment and Labor Relations Court. Mm-hmm. And we are all alive to the fact that there is also a solid judgment with 4 legs in Employment and Labor Relations Court that declared the positions constitutional. So where we are now, we are in a strange situation where we have 3 different judgments from courts of equal jurisdiction, which are contradictory.
And so the yes. ELRC decision,
ELRC,
did it find the positions constitutional?
Yes.
Or the advertisement?
Yeah, it found the positions constitutional and the advertisement also proper, mm-hmm. and it gave the green light. That is why the Public Service Commission went ahead after creating, and by the way, these are positions created by the Public Service Commission.
Correct.
And they have been created by the Public Service Commission. It went ahead to advertise. Mm-hmm. Kenyans applied. I'm one of the Kenyans who applied. Mm-hmm. And shortlisting was done. Interview was done. And appointments made. Mm-hmm. But now the matter Those who felt that it wasn't right, they've moved to court. We have a judgment. The judgment was rendered yesterday. It's still very fresh, and therefore, it's still a matter of debate by Kenyans. But now we have 3 contradictory judgments, and this has to be cleaned and to be sanitized for the purposes of moving forward. So, as per my feeling, it doesn't come as a surprise, but I think on the spot where we are,
where is it not a surprise?
Of course, any ruling in any court can go either way. Can lose or win. I'm a great user of the courts. I've been in the courts. I've lost cases. I've won cases, and so this doesn't surprise us.
Okay, all right. President Theory, I mean, clarify for us, because the former SG here, as he says, I should also address him as, says that the decision by ELRC pronounced that these positions were constitutional, but when I listened to the judgment, I'm not sure that's exactly what I heard. What is the clarity?
Yeah, there's great misunderstanding among so many people as to the import of the decision that was rendered by the Employment and Labor Relations Court. The question at the Employment and Labor Relations Court was a very simple question. It was the question of, was the notice issued, I think either on 19th of October, inviting the public to give comments on the proposed establishment of the office of the CAS. Was that notice sufficient? Did it contain sufficient information to allow the public to respond to that notice in a manner that promotes Article 10 of the Constitution, so that the public participation exercise is not just merely cosmetic? So what did the decision in Murima say? The decision in Murima said that there is a need to disclose the number of offices to be created, the financial effect of that decision, of creating that office. And so therefore, when we looked at the notice that had been issued, we wrote first to Public Service Commission and asked them, give us the financial implication of this decision to create these offices. What we expected them to tell us is that we have consulted SRC, and SRC has said this is how much it would cost the country. And there's also something else which is critical, because as you raise or increase salaries or pay salaries to one sector, it has an effect on what we call the National Compensation Bill, and these are matters which the SG is very familiar with. That if you increase salaries, for example, for teachers, next you expect doctors, next you expect nurses, next you expect every other sector to say, now that you have done this, also increase this for us. And that is what SRC is there to do, to look at all these factors and to be able to give recommendations. One, if it is an increase of salary, what is the effect, resultant effect of this increase in salary? And two, if you are creating an office, what is the resultant effect on the overall bill that the government incurs? And so the court then, to that extent, found that the Public Service Commission had given sufficient information to enable the public to participate in the exercise that was ongoing. So the question of the constitutionality or otherwise of that office was never in play at the Employment and Labor Relations Court, for one simple reason. the Employment and Labor Relations Court does not have jurisdiction to determine that question.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So, and then was there a decision about the advertisement?
Yes, and that is what I was saying, that the court found that the advertisement that had been given contained sufficient information to enable a meaningful public participation process as set out in the Constitution.
I'm asking the advertisement to recruit.
No. It did not touch on the advertisement to recruit.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Honorable Elachi, what is your take here? I mean, you previously served as a Chief Administrative Secretary, positions that were challenged but preserved by the same court. Thereafter, there was an appeal that also stayed the implementation of parts of that decision. What is your take with this turn of events?
Well, first of all, let us start. I think where government went wrong was to call it CASs, because these are positions that have always been there, but in different names of advisors. And so how I wish government would have just retained that, because they're there. And it has worked for many years. It's only that people have never followed through, and even when the administration came in 2013 with the new constitution, therefore after, nobody followed through to know that the public service has always engaged with the national government, and those positions were there with the PECs, with everything. It's only that the name was not cast.
What was the name that time?
It was an advisor. So you pick advisors in different. The president was given advisors in different ministries, but they were on the same salary and everything. So having said that, now let us come to CAS. Do you need a CAS in these ministries? You do, for these reasons. One, for example, now we have public service and gender as a ministry. You find that if you are not, let's say, for my former boss, Kobia, you'll find because she was very good in public service, and so therefore you will find many of the things that she will do will align herself more on public service, and you need someone to follow through to find out, is anything happening in gender? So you can't just leave it also to the PS, because once in a while, you will still need the CS to be through. And so you come in and assist the CS. One of the things that they did not do right was to clearly state the mandate and the role of this person who is coming in as a CAS. And I kept on, I remember coming here one day saying, if you don't have the mandate, then it is so difficult even to understand what you're going to do. And so those are some of the things they needed to do. Public service needs to ensure you put in a mandate. And another example, Ministry of Trade, Investment, I don't know, industry. So you find today, if you ask maybe the CS, things of industry, you won't even hear them talk about, because you find as a person, you realign yourself on what you know better. So every time you run the ministry as if that is the ministry. The same with transport. You'll find some things being left completely out. So you need the position. What we need to do, and what I wish the president did, was to just follow through the 23. The 23. That way, that would have, today they won't be having this problem. Because already public service had done everything for them, the way the law stipulates that it's Public Service Commission that creates the position, that gives you the role and mandate. And then, and I believe SRC had also done a gazette note of the salaries, if I'm not wrong, at a point. And so, and I remember even the judge, one of the prayers, and maybe our president will guide us, was that to quash, but he refused. He said, yeah, the judge in his ruling, there's a place he said he will not quash the gazette notice. And so it means he is also saying, can you go back and do the right thing and stop creating things that were not there, and follow also through what the head of public service said. Okay. So those are some of the things that really brought in all these contentious issues. And as we go forward, the question will be, and maybe also we need to ask ourselves as a country, when we created the 22 ministries, did we look through and realize it is so huge? Because why do we waste a lot and why do we lose money? Is because you have a very huge ministry, and in this ministry, so you allocated the votes that you're given. But if you don't follow through, you find you're doing a lot on one sector, and this other sector seems to be, you have to drag it in.
But isn't that why you have different state departments with different PSs? At this moment, we have about 51.
Yes, exactly. Those are your accounting officers, and you are one. But you have 3 accounting officers, and you are one. And so you have to get the policies right for your accounting officer to tell you now, because he's like your technical person who comes in to tell you this is what you need. But you see, by the time you're doing with PS1, first meeting, PS2, second meeting, PS3, third meeting, really, you would have done PS1, understood your framework, what you want to gain, and another person comes and sits in, a CAS will come, which is like your deputy, will come in and tell you this. So by the time you're combining your whole ministry, you have a clarity of what you want to do in this ministry.
But Honorable Lachi, don't we have just one president for all this?
Well, the president is advised by all this. Yes, he doesn't work in those ministries. Let's not bring it that way. Remember, he will get advice from all this. Who does he sit with all the time? Mostly with his CSs, not even with that accounting officer. So the CS has to carry the 3 departments with her to go and advise the president.
So in your view, how many CSs should we have?
No, that's what I'm saying. How I wish they just followed public service.
No, I understand. I'm asking because you're saying that 22 ministries.
You see, when you're 2 of you,
so much.
When you're 2,
yeah,
and most of the time you are also out of the country, so you have somebody who still is looking back as you go to other duties out of the country.
So
let's not
forget. You don't have a
that.
problem with the number of ministries. The issue is they need more hands.
Well, I have a problem. That's why I'm saying, can we think through? Can we then say we need 30 CSS, then you remove this thing of CASs and all that? Or can we say, yes, you need a deputy to assist in terms of the duties that are there?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I want us to take a short break, but we'll come back with more on that conversation, marrying the decision by the court and the reality on the ground. Former CAS, Honorable Lachi is the Member of Parliament for Dagoretti North, makes a case for those positions. We'll talk about that after the break. Stay tuned.